It's Who's In, Who's Out on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's football station.
That's right. We are South Jersey's football station. Thursday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football, Eagles football. Does Rutgers actually play football?
Maybe they should put them to the Friday night game next year when the Big Ten goes to.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be the one that gets the Friday night game. It's time for Who's In, Who's Out. This is when the three of us try to predict who the 12 NFL playoff teams will be. We pick the division winner, the two wildcard teams, and which teams are in the playoffs and the other teams are out of the playoffs. We start in the AFC with the Patriots every single week. We don't change our minds on that one.
It's the only one we don't have to change our mind.
They are firmly 3 games up in the East. Let's go to the North, where Baltimore, Pittsburgh are currently tied at 4-4, although Baltimore beat them head-to-head. The Bengals are right there at 3-4-1. Right. So who's in the North? Pete Thompson.
I have Baltimore in this week. I've had Pittsburgh a long way. I had them in week 7. I had them in week 8, but I think the Ravens showed me a little something over the weekend. It's a messy division. We all agree on that. And like you said, the Bengals are a London experience away from being a 3-way tie in that division for first place. But I like what Baltimore showed me against Pittsburgh, and I elevated them in the AFC North.
And I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals. I think Tyler Eifert being back for the second half of the season is going to be the difference. I think they're the most well-rounded team. And Ben Roethlisberger, Eric Weddle had said he was playing on one leg. He's not ready to play. They're throwing him out there because they don't trust Landry Jones. Cincinnati Bengals.
I am this close to going Bengals. And that tie, I think, might rear its head into some way, somehow. But I'm going to go with the Steelers, getting Roethlisberger back. He traditionally plays poorly the first week back. He should be better this week. But they play Dallas this week. If they beat Dallas, I think Pittsburgh wins the division. Big win for Pittsburgh this week if they can get it. And they are still the only team in that division, that really has a solid run game. They got Le'Veon Bell. The other two teams, Baltimore and Cincinnati, have struggled in the run game. So we'll see as we get later in the year that becomes important. So I'm going Pittsburgh slightly. In the South, we've got 5-3 Houston, 4-5 Indianapolis, 4-5 Tennessee. Pete Thompson, who do you got?
Houston again, using the old you can't lose your job to injury type theory. You can't lose your job to a bye week, or you can't lose your spot to a bye week.
Or you only get better in a bye week
lose out,
in
right?
That division.
So I had Houston in week 7, Houston in week 8, so I've got Houston in again. Yes.
This is like the presidential election for me, because I'd like to abstain from the AFC South, but I got to pick somebody. It's got to be Houston.
Well, they can probably. I can put someone in the booth to help you. They were doing that where I was today.
Yeah,
that can't be right.
Can I influence?
I want to put all.
Can they influence your vote here?
I want to put all 4 teams from the AFC West in the playoffs and take Houston out, but I can't do that. So I'm going to put Houston in.
I'm going Houston, and it's amazing because Houston, I think out of all the quarterbacks in their division, I like theirs the least.
You should.
Bortles, Mariota, and Luck.
Bortles is about the same.
Who are you thinking, Osweiler or Bortles?
I'd rather have Bortles.
Yeah, me too. But I'm going to stick with Houston. I think they have the best defense in the division, although they don't have Watt.
No, but they still have Merciless, and Clowney is looking like a number 1 overall pick, and that's why I'm picking them. Their defense. And it certainly isn't Brock Osweiler.
No, they're the only team in the division that's given up less than 200 points, so keep that in mind. All right, in the West, Oakland 7-2, Kansas City 6-2, Denver 6-3, and the Chargers.
I like what
hanging
John
around
just
at
said.
4-5. All 4 teams have a plus differential scoring.
Yeah, San Diego's a pretty good team.
John
Did you
McMullen.
see the Tennessee kid crying after Tennessee lost to the Chargers?
Taylor Lewan, I believe.
Right.
John McMullen, you're first up.
I'm going the Kansas City Chiefs to win the division because, hey, Andy Reid doesn't lose football games anymore. 16 out of 18 regular season. I see no reason why it's going to slow down. Interesting, you have a 6-3 Denver team in 3rd place. That tells you how good that division is.
Week 7 and week 8, I had Denver in. Week 9, Oakland, I have elevated in. And I said last week that I would base my division winner on who put up or shut up in that Oakland-Denver game, and Oakland ran all over the Denver Broncos, a defense that is supposed to be so vaunted and high up in the defending Super Bowl champions. So I've got Oakland in as the AFC West winner. That said, my wild cards are KC and Denver.
Week 8, I went Kansas City. Week 7, I went Kansas City. Week 6, I went Kansas City. There's no reason why I'm changing my opinion now. I think Kansas City's the best team, the most complete team. They've only given up 151 points, best in the division. I like Kansas City to win the West with Oakland and Denver getting the 2 wild cards in the AFC.
That's where I am. Oakland and Denver, the 2 wild cards. And as I said, if I could put San Diego in there, I would, but I can't.
In place of Houston?
In place of Houston.
Peter?
I have KC and Denver as my wild card team. So, yes, I think all 3 of us are in agreement that the West, AFC West, has 3 playoff potential teams or playoff quality teams. It's just a matter of who we have winning
that division is going to be a lot of fun down the stretch to see those three teams figure out how they jockey for position, wild cards, home games, all sorts of stuff, and they all got to play each other. Let's go to the NFC. We go from the West up, and last night Seattle improved their record to 5-2-1, so they've got a 2-game lead over Arizona. So Arizona's still within striking distance with 8 games to go, but I'm going to go with the Seahawks, who the reemergence of James Graham last night.
Jimmy Graham, that tight end, he can still play football, Mike Gill. I had Seattle in week 7 and 8. I have Seattle again. I also think that Russell Wilson is nowhere to go but getting more healthier, I would presume. I know he's not 100% Russell Wilson, but the Seahawks get my vote in the NFC West.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the horrible thing about that game last night. We're talking about the officiating, and he got 2 one-handed touchdown receptions from Jimmy Graham. And nobody's talking about it, and that's really the thing that is kind of disappointing. I just did
the reemergence of James Graham,
of course.
Yeah, but you called him James, and nobody knew who you were talking.
But yeah, I mean, Seattle. Once November starts, as I said, ever since Russell Wilson has gotten there, that's when they start to separate themselves. And
it's winning time.
Yeah, and Turkey Month has started. That's what happened. Seattle wins that division with ease.
In the South, last week I went Tampa. Atlanta bombed them. I guess I got to buy into Atlanta this week.
Oh, finally. You're on the board.
I'm interested to see Atlanta. Somebody brought up a good point about them the other day. You know, they've played a lot of cupcake defenses, and they put up a lot of points. They're up over 300 points. I think they're the only team in the NFL over 300 points. They've also given up 259. To put it in perspective, Philadelphia's defense has only given up 145 points. And now Atlanta's played 1 extra game, but that's over 100 points more that Atlanta's given up. That's why I have trouble buying into them. They have not played a great schedule, but I'm going to go Atlanta in the South. But there's a team behind them that's right on their heels, guys.
I have Atlanta in the South, and I've had Atlanta in the South, and I know the team that you're referring to that's right behind them on their heels. That would be the Saints. But I do think that Atlanta,
Saints ain't the Aints no more.
Atlanta coming up to Philly this week, and you know how the Eagles secondary, we talked with Teron Davenport about it, the Eagles secondary is a major question mark for them, and I don't see any reason why Matt Ryan shouldn't be able to have his way with the secondary.
Yeah, but, you know, you're right. On paper, I look at Nolan Carroll, Leotis McKelvin, and Jalen Mills against Julio Jones, and, hey, you want to go sit in a corner and cry if you're an Eagles fan. But, hey, the Eagles have been lights out at home at Lincoln Financial Field this year, dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers, blew out the Minnesota Vikings. Who knows? This is a big game for both teams. Obviously, the Eagles have to win. And this is going to be a temperature-taking game for Atlanta. If they're able to dominate this Eagles defense at home offensively, then they're the real deal. But certainly I'm picking the Falcons to win right now.
You have one in the South?
Yes.
By the way, Atlanta so far has played Tampa, the Raiders, the Saints, the Panthers, the Broncos, the Seahawks, the Chargers, the Packers,
pretty good teams,
and the Buccaneers. So there you go. All right, in the North, I'm sticking with Minnesota. It's
hard to do,
it's a flimsy one.
The North is hard to pick.
3 straight losses, and they're still in first place. Tells you a lot about that division.
I've elevated Detroit in You know,
Whoa.
I've gone and done it, and I thought that.
See, John, what sounds more ridiculous?
They both sound ridiculous, but I'm going with Pete. I'm
Matthew
elevating
Stafford
Detroit.
is a big reason why.
I mean, why not? The
you
Vikings,
get good Matthew Stafford, they're going to win more games than they lose.
The Packers, we know, are a very flawed team that they have a great quarterback. They have this reputation as being a great team. They have a great quarterback and a bad roster.
Yeah. How about this ridiculous statement? Okay, I'm not saying it's a ridiculous statement. I'm just saying how ridiculous does it sound. That Matthew Stafford's actually better without Calvin Johnson, and yet we're looking at teams.
I've said that earlier.
You got to have better receivers. The Eagles need better wideouts. Well, this is a team.
Instead of just relying on throwing the ball to Calvin Johnson, he's now moving the football around. So I understand that mentality. Minnesota, though, how can you build a team around defense and have the worst field goal kicker in creation?
I haven't seen anything come out yet, and that they have a new kicker. I knew they were auditioning.
Well, they're auditioning 4 guys this week, but they're still going to stick with Blair Walsh because they signed him to a big money extension. Hey, you're just shooting yourself in the foot if you continue to do that.
And Detroit can't lose this week because they're on a bye.
And in the East, Dallas has been on top of the list for me for about 4 or 5 weeks now. I'm not moving them out.
Didn't do anything against the Browns, so it would make you think that they can. And Jason Witten, you talk at tight ends that reemerged last week. Jimmy Graham got back on the radar. Jason Witten, 8 catches, 134 yards, and a touchdown. Cowboys were in my top spot in Week 7, Week 8, now Week 9. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, how about them Cowboys? They're running away with that division. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. Really, the only team you can look at on the NFC side right now and say that's a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
Wild card teams, Pete Thompson.
Well, last week I snuck the Giants in as a wild card team. They beat the Eagles, so why would I take them out of the wild card race?
Premonition.
And I have the Giants in again as a wild card. And then that last wild card spot, really tough to pick. I've picked the Vikings as my second NFC wild card spot. But again, I don't do it with 100% confidence or strength.
Johnny Mac.
In Minnesota.
I am going Washington Redskins because I think they have the best roster of the other teams in the NFC East. They will beat the Vikings this week. So my second wild card team is those Green Bay Packers because of Aaron Rodgers, who will carry them to 9 wins and get that second wild card spot.
I've got the New York Giants, and I'm going Philadelphia this week. Ooh. 5 home games.
Gutsy.
Washington's schedule pretty tough down the stretch here. I don't like their chances.
The last 6 seasons, now, of course, I told you who my vote was, right? The last 6 seasons, the winner of the NFC East has gotten into the playoffs. There has not been a second team to get into the playoffs.
It's been a bad division, but it's changed so far.
And I will say this. I've not had Philadelphia in the last couple of weeks, but they've been close. And 5 home games down the stretch here. I think that might be a difference maker for them. And
At what point, though, when you can't finish games, do you start losing confidence?
Well, I want to see them lose a close game at home or have a close game at home and see what happens. All right? All right, that's who's in, who's out right here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN.